I now give the floor to the Earl of Dartmouth.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm going to start with a quote from the Bible. Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the speck out of thy brother's eye. On human rights, the hypocrite's beam is the European Arrest Warrant. Its consequence is that 60 million British citizens and residents fall under the jurisdiction of continental Europe's harsh and alien legal systems. It is no exaggeration to say, potentially, we are all at risk. If this assembly is to be taken seriously on human rights, instead of wittering away about violations in countries where we have no influence, like India, as the gentleman did there, it will be better, much better, if you instead join the campaign for immediate suspension of the European Arrest Warrant prior to its abolition.
One moment, stop. Honourable the Earl of Dartmouth.
Are you willing to accept a question from Mr. Lambsdorff?
Prego.
You have the floor, sir.
Word to the colleague Sarah Ludford, who's asked for the same thing, it was a bit faster than me. If the Earl accepts Sarah's question.
Thank you very much, President. Yes, I'd like to ask the Earl of Dartmouth. Sorry. Thank you, President. Yes, I'd like to ask the Earl of Dartmouth if he is content to leave Britain and its citizens prey to some of the worst organised major criminals who smuggle drugs and people and launder money and firearms and terrorists as well, if the UK was not in the European Arrest Warrant. Sure, it needs improving, but people like me have been on the LIBE committee for a very long time, have actually worked actively to improve the European Arrest Warrant and institute defence safeguards, where he just shouts on the sidelines and would leave Britain open to all the worst criminals and indeed a safe haven for criminals. They used to be on the Costa del Sol, then they'd be in the UK.
The reason why Britain has become a safe haven for criminals, for example Abu Qatada, is because of the European Court of Human Rights, and the sooner we withdraw from that, the better. Please join me in that campaign as well.
Honourable the Earl of Dartmouth.
Would the Earl be willing to accept another question from Mr. LEICHTFRIED?
Okay. Prego.
The Earl of Dartmouth, your comments are very interesting, and I'm sorry for attacking you at this point, because you're one of the very few in your group who work, it seems to me, in this House. But I'd like to ask you this. An arrest warrant, if it applies to a criminal who's tortured people, murdered people, and committed other crimes, how can you compare the use of this arrest warrant in that way?
What we support is the position as it was before, which is that before anyone could be extradited, the British judge had the right to review the primary evidence. What we are opposed to is the position, as in the Assange case, whereby a prosecutor can simply fill in the forms for an arrest warrant, and there is no control and no supervision. That is our position, and I put it to you that it is an entirely credible one.
Bene.